Today we're talking about the weirdest play styles in football, and we're starting off with David Beckham. David Beckham didn't have the pace of Bale. He didn't have the crazy dribbling of Ronaldinho. He didn't have the goal scoring ability of Cristiano Ronaldo. What he did have was the passing ability of a demon, and he was an absolute set piece king. His long balls were more accurate than some players' short passes, aka Ugarte. So how did a player that played on the wing with this play style achieve so much in football? But before we try and answer that question, first of all, let's talk about why his play style is very weird. The reason why David Beckham's skill set is very weird is because in today's game, a player like David Beckham's skill set wouldn't probably be utilized the same way he was back in the day. He wasn't an explosive winger like a modern day winger in today's game, and he didn't cut inside and shoot like Mo Salah or Cristiano Ronaldo. Instead, he hugged the touchline and sent in absolute missiles in the box again and again. In fact, if David Beckham played in today's game, he would probably play the same position as Trent Alexander-Arnold, as a right back, not as a winger like he did back in the day. No, he would probably play as a right back cutting into the midfield. He would probably be playing as a deep line playmaker compared to his old position as a winger. And it's wild how effective he was back in the day. He could dictate a match without ever needing to beat a man. In a footballing world obsessed with pressing, pace, and inverted wingers, David Beckham old school crossing machine feels weirdly alien nowadays. But back in the day, that shit would work to the highest degree, and my god, did it work. Because back in the day, what this guy did mainly was be a set piece merchant and long ball FC. That free kick against Greece which sent England to the World Cup is still one of the most iconic moments in English history. His playstyle was so effective that when he joined Real Madrid and was a bit washed, he still showed his class, his passing ability, and in-game intelligence. David Beckham's playstyle almost seems outdated in today's game. But what exactly makes it so fascinating? Well, you see, the reason why David Beckham's playstyle succeeded back in the day is because of coaching. Football back in the day wasn't as tactical as it is today. Sure, there were managers who were tactical geniuses back in the day, but when David Beckham was in his prime, he played under Sir Alex Ferguson. And Sir Alex Ferguson wasn't known to have a strict game plan. He didn't have a tactical philosophy. His tactical philosophy was getting the best out of his players that he had and not forcing a rigid system onto them. And for David Beckham, that meant freedom. He had the freedom to cross from deep, hug the touchline, roam wide, play long balls anywhere. He wasn't told to invert, tuck in, or play as a false winger. He was just told, do what you do best, king. Now, if David Beckham played under someone like Pep Guardiola in today's era, I promise you that he'd be playing right back like Trent Alexander-Arnold. He would have the same freedom that he had back in the day. He would not be the same player he was back in the day. That's what made David Beckham's playstyle work back then. He played in an era where there was more expressive freedom, and he had a manager who trusted him to do what he did best, until he got beaten up by him. Number 2, Mesut Ozil, the pass-first number 10. Mesut Ozil was one of the most elegant, intelligent, and decisive players of his generation. Ozil wasn't about goals, he wasn't about work rate, he wasn't about dominating game physically. He was all about the pass, the final ball, the through ball, and the pass that turned a half chance into a goal. He was a pass-first number 10. He would let everybody eat before he could eat. But in this era, the number 10s eat before anybody else could eat. Kevin De Bruyne, Jude Bellingham, Bruno Fernandes, Vitz, all these guys, they're not just creators, they're expected to score 10 to 15 goals a season, press non-stop, and cover insane ground. And I'm not saying number 10s who prioritize scoring is a bad thing. Matter of fact, I think this playstyle suits modern day playstyle rather than Mesut Ozil's playstyle. Because Mesut Ozil wasn't about off-the-ball movement or off-the-ball pressing. This man walked. You might as well give him a pack of weed and tell him to sit down, because if he doesn't have the ball, he ain't doing anything. All he did was wait for that one perfect moment to slide a killer pass in, and when it came, he delivered like an artist. Now ask yourself, if Mesut Ozil played in today's game, would he still be a number 10, or would he be pushed deeper into a number 8 role where he would be forced to defend and take fewer risks? Would managers even build a system around him in a world where system and data matters more than expression? Well, it's tough to say, because Mesut Ozil is the perfect number 10. If you give him a system that gives him space, runners, and freedom to pass without worrying about defensive responsibilities, I guarantee you this guy is gonna cook. At Real Madrid, he had Ronaldo, Benzema, and Di Maria making runs for him. At Arsenal, he had Alexis Sanchez and later on Aubameyang. If you give Mesut Ozil runners and space, he's gonna cook all day long. But in the modern game, that's not really the case. Most teams don't even play with a pure number 10 anymore. They play a 4-3-3 or a hybrid 4-2-3-1 with attacking midfielders expected to press, track back, and contribute to goals consistently. And that's what Mesut Ozil doesn't do. Matter of fact, we've seen Mesut Ozil play in this era, and I can say one thing. As an Arsenal fan who watched his downfall play in this era, this man is lucky he played in the 2010 era, because in this era, coaches would literally ruin this man. His beautiful play style would be ruined by modern day coaching.
Demeanor Mesut's was, he was so relaxed. Yeah, he was a gifted player, but the Premier League's, you've seen a lot of players come from abroad who are slightly older, who have struggled in the Premier League. There's certain moments in certain games where you don't play Mesut Ozil, you don't play type of player in a certain game. Mesut Ozil was someone that would make things happen, but on his terms. Training the same. You want to be in this five-a-side team, you would, only when you have the ball.
Right.
When you haven't got the ball, you have an issue. And those games, particularly at Selhurst Parks, rough up these sort of players, they're not going to be interested. And he was one of those players in those sort of times would not be interested.
What makes Mesut Ozil's playstyle weird isn't that it didn't work, is that it barely exists anymore. He was a specialist, a surgeon with the ball. He didn't dominate with stats, he dominated with moments. Moments you couldn't predict, moments you couldn't measure. You knew when you saw a Mesut Ozil moment that would be a world-class moment. There is nobody at world football history better at unlocking a defense than Mesut Ozil. I said that and I'm standing on 10 toes. The last weirdest playstyle we have on this list is N'Golo Kante, the ghost midfielder. Now, calling Kante weird might sound disrespectful. Matter of fact, it is disrespectful. Calling the GOAT weird, that's pure disrespect in my book. But his playstyle is very weird. It's very unicorn. It's very unseen before. It doesn't make any logical sense. How could a guy that's 5'6", not physically imposing, doesn't score, doesn't assist much, not a flashy dribbler, and yet he is everywhere dominating the midfield? He covers every blade of grass like he got a twin brother on the pitch. At his peak, it felt like you're playing against two midfielders at once. Teams would go into matches with 3 midfielders and somehow get overrun with N'Golo Kante. Here's what Sean Dyche had to say about this demon.
If we do play out to the centre-backs, I've got a chance to build. We're still saying to the midfield players, can you come and get the ball? We still want them into these pockets to turn and play forwards. That was a key for us, playing forwards first, if not sideways backwards, but always forward as many times as possible. If they lock on, then this deep line midfield player can only do one of two things. He can't cover everything all at once. Unless you Kante, he can.
Also, this demon was the reason why Chelsea won that UCL, because in every round, this man dominated. Most defensive midfielders rely on positioning, height, strength, and aggression. N'Golo Kante is the complete opposite. He relies on timing, intelligence, and stamina. He doesn't need to fly into tackles, he just appears like a glitch in the Matrix. 1 second you're on the counter attack, and the next second N'Golo Kante stole the ball like a silent thief, and next thing you know, your team is getting counter attacked. It's weird how N'Golo Kante dominates the midfield because he does the simple things to the highest degree. He doesn't orchestrate a midfield like Pirlo. He doesn't smash screamers like Gerrard. He doesn't do flashy things like Paul Pogba. He just keeps it simple. He wins the ball back and he recycles the ball and gives it to his teammate. That's what he does over and over and over again. And that's why his playstyle is so weird, is because he is a unicorn. First of all, this guy has a stamina of 70 dogs combined. I have never seen a footballer with stamina like N'Golo Kante. Secondly, he does the simple things very high level. How many midfielders do we see try to play out from the box, try to do things that they don't even have in their ability, try to act like someone they're not? N'Golo Kante is the complete opposite. He keeps things simple, easy, and smooth, and that's why everybody loves N'Golo Kante. So yeah, N'Golo Kante, David Beckham, Mesut Ozil, all widely different, but all out of sync in the modern day game. Football is beautiful because of these players who don't fit the mold, they break it, and sometimes the weirdest playstyles are the ones that leave the biggest legacies.